Kevin, what are you doing, Kevin? Kevin De Leon, as we saw before, LA City Councilman who's under fire from madness that happened, but mostly over that whole fight that went down. We did this story, a week or two ago. After this thing happened, there's a lot of back and forth about this battle. And one particular person who had a very intricate and intimate connection to this entire event, not this particular one, but the Kevin De Leon drama, Jessica Burbank is with us on the show today, hailing from North Carolina. Is that where you're hanging out today?
North Carolina today, that's right.
Absolutely. So let's get this out of the way, because I read a tweet from you as we did that the first time. In fact, let's read that again for folks who didn't see it or maybe forgot. Burbank wrote this after this happened. You don't fight the wildfire fascism nationally by ignoring the brush fires of racism locally. All progress comes from direct action. Jason, the man in the video there and also in this picture, is and has been courageously disciplined in the face of racism and state-led violence. KDL, Kevin De Leon, assaulted one of the kindest souls that I know. And lastly, she also said, seeing Jason get vilified in the media makes me sick. The video clearly shows KDL lunges at him. KDL snapped. He's angry at the prospect of accountability after being caught on tape gerrymandering districts to dilute black votes, saying openly racist and violent things. Resign. That was a couple weeks ago, December 12th. I mean, about a week ago, December 12th. And we did that without you here, Burbank. And we had a couple people say, how dare she? What is she thinking? What's going on? What is she really looking at when she sees that video? Because it's quite obvious that Kevin De Leon was attacked. I'm gonna get you your chance to go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so there's a few things going on here. First things first, the LA local news has done a terrible job covering this. And they usually take the side of city council members when it comes to local issues like this. So I'm not surprised with that. In national news, we're seeing a bit of a different take on this. But the reason Jason and the rest of the activists with People's City Council and Black Lives Matter are showing up to wherever Kevin De Leon is because he was caught on tape saying that he wanted to dilute black votes so that Latinos had more of a say over what goes on in the city of Los Angeles. Kevin De Leon is someone who represents very poor parts of Los Angeles where people are kept homeless constantly. And this was him saying out loud that he's racist, saying that Mike Bonin's son should be used as a body bag. This is someone who's terribly racist. Now, Jason had his hands up throughout the entirety of that video. He's getting backed into a corner by KDL and KDL staff. And if you don't know LA local politics, you don't know that KDL staff is known for doing this to activists, for putting their hands on activists when they show up and try and hold him accountable for what he's literally caught on tape doing and still refuses to resign. The other 3 members that were involved in this have resigned. And so people saying that Jason was some kind of aggressor, when you see KDL's staff putting their hands on him, when you see KDL shoving him into that corner, and what Jason is doing is he has his phone up and he's asking him why he still hasn't resigned. So if we're not allowed, and it's too much and it seems violent, to stand in front of someone, to ask them questions, to record them, to show up when they're doing a PR tour trying to seem like a good guy, what can we do? What options do we have as activists to get accountability? Because this is a form of self-defense. When you have city council members not doing anything to address the homeless crisis, and in fact, criminalizing homelessness with 4118, which is something that KDL supported, which means that it's illegal to be on the street. So now it's illegal to be poor. Not only are they not addressing the rising cost of housing, but they're making people unhoused. They're funding a murderous police force that's defined by gang division in Los Angeles. And so our activism is our self-defense. And if we don't fight this on the local level, we're only going to see the rise of fascism at the national level. So I get that confrontation might make people uncomfortable, but what is the alternative? Just accepting state violence and accepting that this is the society you'll live in and your kids will grow up in? I think a lot of people are not okay with that. And getting uncomfortable, unfortunately, is what we're going to have to do.
I mean, much of this discomfort does come from the fact that we would expect confrontations, as we've seen politically from activists and elected leaders, to sometimes, a lot of times, especially recently with MAGA, to be seen from that side of the aisle. But when it comes to these types of confrontations, politically, to ask questions, to point out, and you can say, I'm upset, I don't like you, get the hell out. All those things can be done and said. And then once the fighting happens, where does that begin? There's so much happening there. And as we first did the first time, I was trying to land somewhere with, let's see what's going on. And I'm not really sure where the aggression started, but the aggression definitely increased at the back end of that video. And they said more happened down the hallway as well. But yeah, and I think that's where the surprise comes from. They're like, whoa, these libs, these activists are actually getting into confrontations where it turns physical. This is crazy. And brushed off by many national pundits was, oh yeah, look at LA, it's a mess. But what does that mean? Why is it a mess? They'll say the mess starts with activists and why they're upset about what's happening and ignore the fact of what's happening and how we've gotten to this position. And there'll be new politicians that come in and say, I'm here to clean up LA. What's wrong with LA though, first, before we talk about cleaning it up? Because the cleaning up, which I've heard partially is, we're talking about moving some more homeless folks now to another part of Southern California. I'm not sure how well that's gonna work. I just saw that as a blurb over the weekend with new Mayor Bass. And other folks in the Antelope Valley aren't very happy about it, some. But there's lots happening and it's all local type of stuff. But once a fight happens, then the attention comes. But why? And I'm glad you broke it down the way that talks about why and why the anger is really there. It's Democracy for Sale, TYT members. First of all, thank you, SB members. Says, look, Jessica, I love you, man. Oh, now's the time to respond. But you're dead wrong on this one. Yes, KDL is horribly racist and corrupt, but the fact of the matter is as follows. Reedy was the first to make physical contact with KDL after he followed him into a more private area when he was trying to get away. This is not how we successfully protest from a leftist perspective. There were scared children there. That accomplishes nothing but tarnishing our cause. Again, from Democracy for Sale. Just really, I would like for you to be able to respond to some of the folks, because I saw some of these comments before. And I was like, let's get Jessica to talk.
Yeah, so if you watch the video, I mean, you get to watch KDL walk Jason Reedy into a corner. The fact that KDL is trying to do events with children's ridiculous because he knows that wherever he goes, we're going to pull up. Like he knew this was going to be the result. He's trying to run a PR tour to make himself seem like a better guy than he is. And things didn't have to get violent. The activists showed up there to send a message to ask him why he didn't resign. KDL's the one who took, with all of his staff behind him, putting their hands on Jason Reedy to walk him into a corner. KDL's the first person to put his hands on Jason Reedy when he walked him into that door and shoved his way through the door, shoving himself through Jason. So if you watch the video over and over again, I just don't see how people are finding this other narrative that Jason Reedy was some kind of an aggressor in this situation. This is absolutely the kind of nonviolent action that people like Martin Luther King were taking. I mean, to stand in someone's path and ask tough questions when they're doing a press tour is exactly the kind of direct action that we need. And the only thing that will get people in power to do something different than the status quo is to make them uncomfortable. As Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand, never has, never will. And all of our major accomplishments and progress throughout the history of the United States happen through direct action exactly like this. I wish it didn't have to be like this. I wish we could just say kindly, KDL, you don't represent your Black constituents and you need to step down. We've tried that, doesn't work.